are listening to the Heavy Metal Hangover, where the beer is always cold and the music is always heavy.
With your hosts wearing jeans and leather, not Cracker Jack clothes, Rex and Duff.
Welcome to the Heavy Metal Hangover. My name is Duff.
My name is Rex.
And we are here tonight to talk about one thing and one thing only. Rex, just say it now, and then we can just say it, and then...
Look, all I have to say is the theme of tonight's episode is going to be gas station boner pills. And the thing is, neither of us have taken or own gas station boner pills, so... Look,
to be honest with you, you told me you just found out they existed, and
I always thought it was a joke. Like I always thought the gas station boner pills was like a joke.
Because you're not allowed to pump your own gas in your state.
Right, I don't go into gas stations and stuff in New Jersey. I don't even get out of my car, and I'm very rarely in a convenience store. Like, I always usually just, I go grocery shopping, and I have everything at home, so it's not like I'm swinging in to pick up and when I do go into 7-Eleven, I go straight to the Slurpee machine, then to the taquitos, and I'm out the door. I don't, peruse the boner pill section.
Well, and I don't know, every time I've seen them, they're behind the counter.
Yeah.
Or... No, well, if they're not behind the counter, they're on like a POP display, like they're right in front of the counter, or they're on the counter, and it's like, first of all, what's the only thing worse than walking up to the counter and saying to the clerk, "Oh, I'll take a pack of cigarettes, $20 in gas, and some
and a fistful of dick pills,
and a fistful of boner pills." The only thing worse than that is being like, I think honestly the only thing worse is being like, hold on, excuse me, I'm comparing. Hold on, you've got two. I'm gonna compare active ingredients between these two.
Can I see those three right there? I need to see which one's gonna give me the best boner. What's funny about this? And I know we're a metal podcast, but I can't stop laughing about this because I'm like.
Yeah, but if you're in the metal and you can't find the word boner funny, I'm sorry.
Well, like our old singer one time said, some things are always going to be funny. Farts, boners. Dude, I'm thinking to myself.
Or you know what? To quote Dr. Dirty John Valby, even the wisest men agree that a fart in a bathtub is funny.
I'm thinking
the
of
wise words I never forget.
It reminds me of this one time where my buddy's like, I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, I think it was the chicken Parmesan sandwich I bought from the gas station on the way home yesterday. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's your first problem is you decided to buy a chicken Parmesan sandwich from a gas station. And the only thing is that reminds me of, I'm thinking to myself, now apparently, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to go fill up my tank and then, get some boner pills.
Now, this is going to sound like a shameless plug. It's clearly not because we don't have sponsors. Now, if it was from a Sheetz or something, then I get it.
What, the boner pills or the chicken Parmesan sandwich?
Well, I meant the chicken Parmesan sandwich. I don't care where you get the boner pills. I don't think you go up to Sheetz and go, I'd like some boner pills made to order. I don't think that's how that works.
It's I'd like a chicken Parmesan sandwich. Can you sprinkle some boner pills on that?
By the way, if you don't know what Sheetz is, it's I don't know. It's in Pennsylvania.
It's like a Wawa or a
it's
Buc-ee's.
Like a Wawa
It's one of those types of places.
They make a lot of food, and their food is actually legitimately good because they make it to order. Again, that's clearly not a sponsorship. The point I'm getting at is, if you're going to a place like that, okay, but it sounds to me like he grabbed one of the little ones that you throw in the microwave yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, I'm in the mood for a chicken parm sandwich. Where should we go? How about Shell? How about Exxon? Yeah. Hey, while you're there, can you grab me some boner pills? That's funny is, as soon as I saw, and again, people are probably thinking to myself, how are you just hearing about this? Again, when I'm in a convenience store, I'm not hey, while I'm here, I think I'll check out the gas station boner pills. I've never paid attention. And I always thought that was making fun of it, or making fun of, I don't know what I thought it was, but
actually, I mean, to be honest with you though, see, I'm just assuming it's sold with all those I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Like 12-hour energies or whatever the hell.
Yeah, I
those
mean, I
things
guarantee it's like back there with like
drink.
stackers.
I don't do energy drinks at all.
I do G Fuel because it's better than most. So
I've actually had some G Fuel. I guess that's a little different. I do like some G Fuel. I can't stand the stuff in the can. I gotta mix it myself. So I guess you're right. I do have that, not often, but from time to time. But like any of the gas station, any of the gas station energy drinks, like man, Red Bull or I know. I couldn't get into a Five Finger Death Punch concert because not only do I not drink Monster, I don't shove the cans up my ass.
It's anyways, but but
what
the
do I
whole
know?
I wanted to tie this back to music is as soon as I found out about this, I'm like, that'd be a good name for a band. And I'm like, I guarantee it's taken. Yep. There is a comedic punk band called Gas Station Boner Pills.
Of course there is. Is there a band called Asswipe? That's what I want to know. Just Asswipe.
I don't know, but there should be. If there's not, we need to make that band. When we were in our band, we were going to do an SOD meets Guar or whatever style, literally a joke band. Like it was going to be like us going up on stage and purposefully acting like idiots. And we were going to name the band Free Beer because we wanted to be on the flyers, this weekend at X Bar, free beer.
Right.
And the name of our first album, we already had it planned. The name of our first album was going to be called No Leather Jacket Required because of Phil Collins' album, No Jacket Required.
Yeah.
And Phil Collins kicks ass.
I don't. We actually almost did do an SOD cover band. We were throwing around the idea of doing an SOD tribute band called Aren't You Hungry? A buddy of mine suggested we call it the Douche Crew, and I was like, as funny as that is, let's go with Aren't You Hungry? Mainly because we had a friend of ours who's like, oh, I'd totally front that. We were both like, oh, actually, that's kind of cool, but we just one of those things where we ran out of time. Not to mention the problem with, because I briefly played in a band like that. The problem with joke bands is oftentimes like that, they have really short songs. Now, that doesn't sound like a problem until you try to play a set and you're like, we have a half an hour set and I have to learn 97 songs just to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's different when you only have to learn like 8 to 10 songs for a set. When you have to learn a ton of songs.
Yeah, but most of those songs are just 4/4s, like.
Wait, you would just, I know, and you would be surprised how just because it's not remembering how to play the songs. It's not that. It is shocking how, oh my gosh, which riff goes in which one when you are playing that many songs in a night. I did it. I played like 3 shows doing that with a really crappy band. But anyway, it's like, not to mention, I don't know, you just burn through a set and go, well, we've been here for 15 minutes and we're done now. I mean, it sounds weird, but that kind of stuff it's hard. It's counterintuitive, but it's harder than it sounds like. It would
I
be.
get it. No, but it's
not playing the music. That's not what I mean. But
yeah, no, but anyway, so yeah, I've been laughing consistently at the idea of gas station boner pills.
Well, what you need to do is you need to actually go into a gas station and see what they have. I'm not saying buy any because
I'm not putting that crap in my body.
No, I'm saying you got to go like investigate. Do some,
knowing my luck, knowing my luck, and by the way, I don't need these. Like, I didn't find out about these by researching boner pills. Like, I found out because I saw a meme somewhere and it was a picture of the wrestler Kurt Angle and he had like this crazy look on his face and it was like when the 5 4 Locos pack of gas station boner pills and 2 8-balls kick in. Like, I was like, wait. Yeah, I don't know. I looked it up. I'm like, haha, gas station boner. I'm like, wait, that's a real thing. I mean, this shows you how oblivious I am to the world sometimes. So
I really, no, like I said, I know they exist. I know I've seen them, but that is, I can promise you, as far as I couldn't tell you the name brand of one. I don't know. I'm also perfectly fine not knowing.
Yeah, I don't need to know any more than the fact they exist to just liven up my day and make me laugh. No, but it's
all they have to do is make sure that they say Vinny is the before.
Well, that's what we said. We're like, dude, can you imagine if Vinny took one of those? He'd probably have a blowout.
It would just be funny.
It'd be like a flat tire, just here. Oh God! Oh God!
His luck, he would be the in rare cases. This might.
In rare cases, you may experience. Vinny's like, the warnings, like if you experience an erection lasting longer than like 4 hours, immediately contact your doctor. Vinny's like, well, how do I know? How do I tell?
Oh man, he looked down and be like, so that's what it's supposed to look like.
And of course, he's holding a magnifying glass.
Man, this is. I will tell you though, if you came here for metal news, you've learned a lot, folks.
No, it's funny. Like it's funny when we did the analysis. We didn't do an analysis, but we looked a long time ago at like the demographics of our show, and it's funny because more people listen to the show that also listen to comedy podcasts than actually listen to metal podcasts.
Yeah, no, that's true. Speaking of, by the way, I was in Albany last weekend
picking up some gas station boner pills.
Yeah, I mean, might as well. Normally when I need to just get out of the house or whatever, I drive to Syracuse. It's an hour-ish drive. And like I get some food at a restaurant that isn't, whatever restaurant I go to, it's just one that isn't, near my house. So I, like whatever restaurant you have in your town, if you go to a different town, I like to eat at a restaurant that I don't have in mine. So whatever. I mean, it could just be a regular chain. But I'll do that. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
You go to the stabbing mall.
Yeah. Well, that's the Syracuse Mall. The stabbing mall's in Syracuse. Well, for whatever reason, I decided that I would go to Albany to go to the mall where I don't know if there's stabbings, but at least I don't. Well, I'll put it this way: the stabbings per year and per capita are guaranteed not as high as Syracuse's, because Destiny USA and Syracuse, you can Google it. I swear to God, they average at minimum one stabbing a year and multiple shootings. Like it's.
But it's always stabbings though. Like
no, I mean they've had a ton of shootings, but they've also had literally yearly stabbings. That when shots fired is not really all that abnormal, but it is definitely a mall of stabbings. That's why I call it the stabbing mall. And it's not stabbing; it's stabbing.
Like captain,
but
like a famous captain.
But no, I went to Albany, and the Syracuse Stabbing Mall has a place called the Funny Bone, which is, a comedy club. People, comedians perform there all the time. And, that's cool. But I guess they had one at the mall I was in Albany, and every time I go to Syracuse, or I think, hey, anytime I go to Syracuse and I look at who's performing at the Funny Bone, it's always like, well, I don't care. I don't want to see that person. Or if I'm ever like, oh, hey, I got nothing to do this weekend, I'm going to see who's at the Funny Bone. It's never anybody I care to see. So I'm in Albany, and I walk by, and I just happen to see that this place has a Funny Bone. And I look up, and I was like, oh, who's performing tonight? And it was David Koechner, who, if you don't know who that is, he plays Todd Packer on The Office. And he's champ, whammy, that guy from Anchorman. So, just speaking of comedy, I actually got to see him do stand-up. I will admit, he's like a lot of people that you would think of like that. He's not a great stand-up comedian. It is clear, as funny as he is in movies, it's not the same thing. Not everybody that happens to be funny in movies is a great stand-up. That being said, he was funny, and I had a lot of fun. Like, especially if you're a fan of any of the movies he's done or whatever. He's in Thank You for Smoking, and he's great in it. I had a lot of fun. Like I said, he's not the guy who you would buy his comedy album. I don't even know if they make comedy albums anymore, but you get my point. Like, you wouldn't buy his comedy album, but I literally spent $30 on the ticket and had a blast. You know what the problem was? Did I tell you who I sat at at a table with? Rex, did I tell you this story?
No.
Okay. So I'm just going to throw this out because we're talking about nonsensical crap anyway. So here I am, and I'm by myself, right? And you realize that when you go, anytime you go to a comedy club, not that I go to comedy clubs, but because I really don't, but, you know, you always sit at tables, and people normally go with friends or whatever, and I don't have any of those. So I went by myself, and they just seated me, you know, at a table. Well, I ended up being sat at the same table as the two people that were standing behind me in line to get in. That makes sense, right? Of course. Here's the problem, dude. If you go to a comedy show, there's a few groups of people that are going to be there. You're drunk 20-somethings. You're overly loud Tito's and Cranberry, like 30-something women, you know, those ones, right? Both of those groups are obnoxious, but I was at the table with the worst one. I was at the table with it's their second date. I'm sitting now, and mind you, it's like a 2-hour drive home, so I can't drink when I'm at this thing. And before the show and during intermission, all this jazz, I have to sit at the table hearing, oh, do you like Thai food? Oh, I love Thai food. Oh, you're so funny. Like, I had to sit there and watch these two numbnuts talk about, like, oh, your birthday. Oh, you're a Scorpio. Woo. And oh my God. I wanted to just, I hope the guy had gas station boner pills, because I don't understand how with her voice anyone could get it up, and I'm pretty sure a guy who looked like him couldn't get it up anyway. And if he did get it up, neither one of them would know what to do with it. Oh, Thai food, man. Oh God, I swear to God, I wanted to punch both of them in the prick. Like, I couldn't. Oh God.
After giving them some gas station boner pills.
Yeah. I swear, you know what I'm saying though? It's that, I don't know if you've ever been around someone who's on like their first or second date, and they're like, oh, do you like it? Or whatever. I swear to God, oh, do you like Thai food? Oh, I love the Thai food. I especially like it with, oh my God. You want, and then of course, you know what it was like? It was like, you know how in romantic comedies, whoever the main character is, he starts dating someone, and they always go out on a date with his friend and a random, or her friend and a random. It happens in So I Married an Axe Murderer. It happened. I mean, just they're in romantic comedies. Like, the two main characters are trying to date, and one of their friends has to go out on a date with them with some idiot, and it's always uncomfortable. And that's just kind of how it was. And oh my God, I swear to you, I just hope no one here ever has to be for an entire evening sat at the same table as do you like Thai food? Oh, you're a Scorpio. And then just, I swear to God, I wanted to just look over and say, will you just suck them and get it over with? Just leave, do it. And if you're not planning on it, then shut up and stop talking. Anyway, I'm pissy about it since last week. Let's go back to boner pills. It's way more fun than me being annoyed by two numbnuts at a freaking comedy show. Or we could just talk about metal, which is what we're supposed to be doing while we're here, but that just sounds like work.
Okay, so
having to talk about what we're supposed to talk about just sounds like work. I don't know.
Boner pills aside, gas station boner pills aside, I did want to mention something. Normally you don't do news, but I feel like this is kind of important. And that's that Richie Faulkner has revealed that you may remember in 2021 or so, I think it was, he got hauled off stage, or right after he got off stage, he collapsed, and he was found to have a heart issue, and he had like severe surgery, and everything else like that.
And he almost died. Had he not been across the street from a Trauma 1 hospital, he would have died.
It was crazy. Like, he was like
Level 1 trauma center, whatever it's called.
I hate to say right place, right time, because there's never a right time, but you know what I mean? Like,
no, well,
he could not have been in a better place. If that was going to happen, where it happened is the best place he could have been, aside from actually in a hospital.
We do have to clarify, he finished the guitar solo.
He did.
It happened mid-guitar solo, and he finished it.
Yep. And
he's like, I can't die until the solo was over. I mean, I'm not making light of what happened. I am saying dude's got balls,
So I guess he's just released an interview where he actually reveals that a month afterwards he actually suffered a stroke. As I think he said it was related to all of his health issues with his heart and everything else. And
I wonder if he's talking to a bunch of Billy Squier the next day. I was just curious. I would.
And he was talking about how, like, as he was recording Invincible Shield, the demos he was he recorded a year before. He's having trouble playing them. He says he still struggles sometimes during live shows. He's like, is it going to be a good night? Is it going to be a bad night? And he said he's almost quit a few times, and it's just kind of crazy. And he said that he kind of is revealing this because he was really like terrified that people were going to find out, because if he misses a note in a set, everybody's going to immediately be like, oh my God, Richie's like, he's losing it. He doesn't have it anymore, and everything else like that as a result of this. But it's kind of interesting. He said he actually revealed it because he's like, I feel like there's so many people in bands out there who just think they aren't good enough or don't have what it takes or blah, blah, blah. And he said, I hope I can be an inspiration. So that's, it's kind of like a cool thing that he's, not only is he sticking with Priest and really putting everything in and still making it through sets and stuff, but he's trying to be an inspiration to people out there who, just don't let things get in your way. You're going to face a lot of adversity in your life, and you can overcome it. So I don't know. It's unfortunate that happened to him. I mean, I think we both have seen him since this whole thing happened, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if I saw him on a good night or what, but I would never have known. And again, I'm not making light of the situation because I'm more saying he's a badass. I've always wondered if when, he was having the like heart aneurysm, whatever it was, when he was having the heart thing, the aneurysm, whatever was going on. I don't remember what it was. It's like a coronary aneurysm. What happened is
relevant, but it's not relevant to the conversation. I always wondered if the first thought that went through his mind was, if I don't finish this guitar solo, my stepdad's going to kick my ass. If you don't know his his father-in-law, his father-in-law is George Lynch.
Mr. Lynch.
Yeah, Mr.
I wonder
Lynch
if he has to call him Mr. Lynch.
George Lynch would walk in and be like, couldn't even finish the solo, pussy. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not.
Get yourself some gas station boner pills next time.
Yeah, be a real man next time. Actually, I mean, George Lynch always seems like he's a super nice guy, but I guess that I just find it hilarious that you get hired to play in Judas Priest, and it doesn't matter because your father-in-law is George Lynch. But I was telling Rex before the show, I'm like, he probably dated his wife. He probably dated the only woman he would have met who was legitimately not impressed with his guitar playing. He's like, I'm a pretty awesome guitar player. She's like, no, you're not. He's trying to show off for her, and she's like, no, you're not. I don't know. I just imagine like Thanksgiving dinner when George walks in and goes, you still can't play this, huh? This is Mr. Scary. Wouldn't happen. I don't know. Random stuff that as George Carlin once says, these are the kind of things that keep me out of the really good schools.
No, it's funny. Like, it's not funny like haha, but it's, man, like, Priest cannot catch a break. I mean, you had KK left, Glenn has Parkinson's, freaking Richie's having all kinds of like cardiac issues and a stroke. Like Ian Hill's got to be standing there like fearing for his life.
And as I said earlier, and Andy Sneap is going bald. I mean,
yeah, Andy Sneap's going bald. He's like, Andy Sneap's probably like, oh, why did I agree to take this gig?
He's like, you had a heart attack, but
as
I'm
soon as
going
I said
bald.
yes, my hair started falling out. We were talking about Andy Sneap and Judas Priest, and we were kind of laughing at how, you know, Andy Sneap's cool, and he's definitely competent enough to be there. I don't think anybody doubts that. But we were laughing because we're like, he looks so out of place. It literally looks like they handed him a leather suit, and we're like, here, you're wearing this for the tour. And he was like, all right.
Well, I remember when Tim Owens was in the band, he said, even at the time, that he didn't like wearing the Judas Priest attire. He, like, later on in the show, he got to wear more normal stuff. And he always said he was way happier because he'd rather get on stage with... Well, it's hard to shadow box in that much leather, you know? Which, you've never seen Tim Owens live. He shadow boxes. That's just his thing. Whatever. But he likes to wear, like, a hat on backwards and just kind of jeans and T-shirts. And I just remember him saying he hated having to wear the Judas Priest uniform.
Which is funny because in KK's Priest, he wears a big leather vest.
Well, yeah. It's a little. It's first of all, it's a little different when your band tells you have to, and when you realize that if you don't, you won't get paid. You know, it's a little. I don't know. I did read an article where he said he makes a lot more money now than he did in Priest. Or or that he made surprisingly very little money in Priest. Please, if I'm wrong about this, folks, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I saw him say that he didn't bring in much, and that he does better. He has done better financially post Priest than he did in Priest. And I doubt it's from Priest royalties because they don't sell the freaking albums he was on.
No, they don't.
They don't sell Jugulator. I don't know how much a Jugulator he was responsible for writing. I don't. And that's not for any reason other than I just...
Jugulator and Demolition are not easy to come by.
Nope.
Like,
no, I mean, I had them both on CD. I had... The Demolition I got from the radio station, but Jugulator, I had a store-bought copy of that. I got it right when I came out because I was excited about it. And it's a great record. We've mentioned that 100 times.
Yeah, I mean, I have both as well, and it's
Demolition is good. It's not great. There's a couple of cool songs on it. Jugulator is just awesome, start to finish.
It's heavy too.
It's very heavy. Oh yeah, they're tuned way down on that record. Way down.
I remember a friend of mine, I play hockey with him. Jugulator's actually, Judas Priest is his favorite band. And he said Jugulator's actually his favorite album, and you don't hear that very often.
No.
But he said he grew up like, you know, listening to Judas Priest and stuff, and he's not, it's funny because he likes Priest and he likes a lot of that stuff. He's not a metalhead though. Like, he enjoys the music, but he's not like, he's not the kind of guy who's like, oh, their new album's coming out Tuesday, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, I told him about KK's Priest when the second album came out, and he goes, wait, KK has a band? Like, the guy is hockey through and through. Like, he's an Islanders fan. Like, music is kind of like, yeah, I really like Judas Priest. They're like my favorite band, but hockey's on, so I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing where...
Yeah, that's...
He's a casual fan, you know?
That's more people than... Okay, admittedly, the people that listen to our show are probably more active metal fans only because they wouldn't want to listen to our show if they weren't.
Right.
Our show is not really for casual music fans. It's just not.
Right.
But, I mean, I figure I am like...
I miss albums, and I pay attention for the most part.
Well, me too. I miss stuff all the time. But But I'm also, the way he is about metal is the way I am about, there are plenty of things that I'm that level of, well, let's be fair. You play hockey. You are a big fan of the sport of hockey, but how much could, do you know when the next Devils game is,
No, I mean, I really don't. And I couldn't tell you their record right now. And, I'll check on it occasionally. Like I used to watch every Devils game and stuff like that. But, it's one of those things where ever since the NHL got their new, pack deal with ESPN and everything, it's just too much of a pain. But I mean, I don't want to get into hockey, but so like I said, he's a fan of Judas Priest, loves the albums, knows the album. So the only reason I went into that was because, when you say like, oh, he's not like paying attention when the new albums come out, he's not really a fan. No, you can be a fan and like the music without like needing to know that their album comes out the third Tuesday in April and here's everybody on it. And some people really do just listen to music passively, not actively, and there's nothing wrong with that. So,
and let's also, let's also go. I want to go briefly a step further with that. This is a regular topic on the show, but it is again another difference with the physical media era versus the digital media era. And what I mean by that is, first of all, okay, if you listen to metal, it's a little different, but the average music fan, like, you're not listening to FM radio, probably. So new stuff, it's not just coming on the radio. Not to mention, think about record stores this way, Rex. You and I both go to record stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you go to a record store. That is what you do. You make the record store is a destination in and of itself. It is not like when we used to go to the mall and there were three different music stores in the mall, and you just walk past them and you see new albums that are out, and I get it, they're still FYE, but their music selection is next to nothing in the store. Point I'm getting at is, you would have probably, a band like Judas Priest, there is a better chance that he would have seen that there was a new Judas Priest album out just if he happened to go to the mall.
Well, that's exactly what happened. That's the part of the story I was getting to. Yeah. Is he walked into a record store and I guess he saw the new Judas Priest and he's like, what's this? Like, he had no idea what it was. Like, he's like, I had no idea.
Mind you, this is Jugulators. This is back in
right. This is Jugulator. And, because he was like, wow, and he bought it.
Or something, I think.
Yeah, he bought it and he said he took it home and he was like blown away. He said he said to this day, it's like when he actually, my buddy went with me to see KK's Priest because he was so excited that they were going to play Burn in Hell.
Yeah.
He was like, because he's like, I've never seen Ripper like play songs off this album, and certainly Halford's not playing songs off this album. So he said it was really cool to see Halford and KK play it.
I've seen Tim. I saw Tim with Iced Earth, but I've never seen him with Priest or in a band where he would play Priest songs.
Yeah, when he played with KK, they played a lot of Priest songs, and I was really happy that they played that track off Jugulator. I mean, I understand it's KK's Priest, so KK is going to focus on he's going to focus on his track. So it would be a little too much to ask for Cathedral Spires, because I don't think he's going to play like a 9-minute Priest song in the middle of his set. But it was still cool.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, it is KK's Priest, but on the other hand, it also lets KK play the songs he couldn't play. Not only is Tim able to play the songs, but KK can now too. Because there's probably songs on those records that KK likes, and he would have loved to have continued playing. I don't know that for a fact. I'm guessing here. But he put a band back together and he got Tim. I'm willing to bet he probably liked the way Tim sang, and he probably liked some of the stuff off those albums. Meaning, I don't think it's not just him being like, well, I want to sing some of our stuff. I would bet you KK likes the idea too. Not to mention, he's been playing Breaking the Law for, 50 years now. Not quite, but, 50 years now. Being able to play Burn in Hell is like, oh, wow, here's a song I haven't played in 25 years or more. So it's got to be cool for all of them.
And it's funny because I don't necessarily want to switch gears. I forgot how we even got on this,
switch gears. What the hell am I doing?
I was going to tell you. You sent me an article, and I don't know if you watched it or not, but you sent me an article about John Schaefer. I sent you like a couple days before, like the 2.5-hour interview with him, the first one he's done.
Oh no, I didn't see it. Oh, did you really? If you sent it to me, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I sent you like there was like he sat down for like a 2.5-hour interview, and he talked about all that stuff. And
I need to watch it then.
Yeah, I
must not have seen the link or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I sent it to you, and it's like 2.5.
It and send it to me again because I'd like to watch.
It was on YouTube. I think if you look up John Schaefer, it probably is one of the first things that's going to pop up. But
yeah, because all the suck ass metal magazines are all over it.
Yeah, here it is. Finally free. I'll send it to you again. It's like 2.5 hours. It's called John Schaefer Finally Free.
Yeah, it's all the suck ass metal magazines are all over. And look, we're not going down the rabbit hole, and we're not doing that. But the reason I'm just going to throw this out because it's old news at this point, but it's relevant because this is going on. What bothered me to no end was when John Schaefer got in trouble because of the political events in Washington, D.C. Just leave it at that. I don't want to specifically say the terms or the dates because I don't want it being put on. I just don't want it flagged. Not flagged in a bad way. I just don't want our show in any way linked to it. For good or bad, that's not my point. Anyway, when that happened, Loudwire and Metal Sucks, which are the two most political of all of these suck-ass metal publications, they're all pretty political, but those are the two, unless I'm missing one, those are the two most blatantly political ones. They were posting about John Schaefer and that thing constantly. And what kills me is I don't ever remember seeing them post anything about Iced Earth in 35 years. Like, however, I mean, I say 35 years, but in the 35 years that Iced Earth has been around or whatever, I don't remember them ever posting anything about them or referencing anything in the earlier part of the... I don't ever remember seeing anything. That band was not on those websites' radar. And if they made a post about it, I would love to see where it was, because it's like they certainly weren't talking about them before. And then all of a sudden, John Schaefer gets himself in a situation politically, and those two publications are posting about it nonstop. Even this one is like, oh, John Schaefer, blah, 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 politics, blah, blah, blah. Business, politics, and it's like, dude, it would be different if you all, I guess my point is, it would be different if Iced Earth or John Schaefer in any regard was someone that those magazines ever pretended existed before it happened. That's what drives me nuts about this whole thing. Not about the YouTube video. I haven't watched it. Just about the metal publications. Being like, oh, look at this metal guy. He did something we don't like. It's like, well, okay, but you never mentioned anything the guy did for forever, because John Schaefer was not important enough, and his band wasn't important enough for you to ever talk about them until now, and that just drives me completely crazy. But there is, I guess, you just sent it to me, a new interview with John Schaefer.
Yeah, it's like literally 2.5 hours long.
Oh, what do I got to do?
No, sorry, I just saw something for sale.
If I take too many gas station boner pills and I have to come down from
I mean, worst case scenario, you start to doze off, just pop a few gas station boner pills, and you're back in business.
Oh, man.
No, it's it's interesting because I actually want to watch it too. I haven't had 2.5 hours to dedicate to it, but actually, if you go down to the comments, somebody broke it up into like the different topics he discusses. So if you want to like, he's, I guess, like, and you talked about Iced Earth, and that's what kind of where we got to this. So it's interesting to see that he's back out there, and I really want to hear in the interview like what he plans on doing, because he's got a pardon now. So like he's no longer like, I think he has a pardon. He's no longer, beholden to...
actually, to be honest with you, I don't know. And the only reason I say I don't know is I don't know how it works for someone who took a plea deal. Like, I have no idea how this works. I don't care.
I thought, at the screenshot you sent me, I think it said he had a pardon.
Oh, did it? I don't know. I didn't. I only sent you a screenshot as a, oh, look, thanks, Loudwire. Where would I be without your politics? Oh, look, you're talking about John Schaefer again. Must be political. I didn't actually read anything. I probably should have.
Oh, yeah. John Schaefer has learned nothing. Yeah, okay.
No, that's the point. The whole thing was, oh, look, you got to remember, not long ago, a suck-ass publication
Yeah,
said
he was granted a pardon. Loudwire said
Okay.
he's granted a pardon. At
you
least that's what they say.
A suck-ass magazine not long ago said the all-time worst metal album ever, worse than Risk and Cold Lake, is The Glorious Burden by Iced Earth. The reviewer had never heard of it and had never listened to it until he wrote that and said it was the worst metal album of all time. Look, I don't care if you like Iced Earth at all, okay? They were one of my all-time favorite bands. They haven't written a good album in a very, very long time, which is why my interest started, sort of waning a little bit. But my point is, if you've never listened to The Glorious Burden, if it's not your thing, I get it. But if you are at all into that style of music, think of like heavy speed triplet guitar, like Iron Maiden if it was faster on guitar, and kind of a power metal feel with Tim Owens like super high vocals, okay? If that is not the kind of music you like, then you're not going to like it. But let's pretend that is the kind of music you like. I would love for you to listen to that album and tell me it's terrible. Now, you might tell me you don't like it. You're entitled. But if you're going to tell me that album is worse than Cold Lake and Risk and Lars Ulrich's snare drum on Saint Anger, you are completely full of crap. Also, the entire album review about why it sounds bad, it's like, here's why it sounds bad. John Schaefer, politics. It's like, did you listen to the record? Or you know what I mean? It's one of those, I am actually saying what I'm getting at is not about politics. I'm not talking about John Schaefer's politics. I'm not commenting on those at all. I'm saying it pisses me off that publications who would have never talked about them before do now. And some people take it as far as to be like, I'm going to make a list of the worst metal albums of all time. Cold Lake. Then we're going to do Risk. And then, got to be Glorious Burden because politics. Like, it's the dumbest crap ever.
And yes, he was pardoned. Loudwire said flat out he was pardoned.
Great. I mean, I assumed he was. I wasn't sure because I didn't follow it up.
No, I didn't either.
Unlike them, I cared about John Schaefer when he was in Iced Earth, and I cared about what he did with Iced Earth. I never cared that politics. I didn't care politics. So it's why I didn't follow it up. I mean, it's interesting to know. I have met the guy. I interviewed him on his tour bus, and I was a huge Iced Earth fan. Iced Earth's albums with Matt Barlow plus Night of the Storm Rider, which he wasn't on, and basically from Night of the Storm Rider to The Glorious Burden. Let's put it that way. Some of my all-time favorite albums, and that era of Iced Earth is easily what I would consider in my very short list of favorite bands. But my interest with John Schaefer is, I'm upset at John Schaefer because the last Demons and Wizards album sucked, And the last 2 Iced Earth records were crap. To me, post about that. Post that. You know what's worse is they didn't even pick one of the bad Iced Earth albums. Iced Earth have some crappy albums. If they wanted to say that one of the Something Wicked trilogy records, which are garbage, was garbage, fine. If they wanted to say Iced Earth's last album was garbage, say it. Those albums suck. But to literally say that The Glorious Burden is the worst metal album of all time, the worst of all time, because Politics is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That is the absolute definition of asswipe. That is the absolute definition of a guy who probably buys gas station boner pills before he goes home and wanks it. Like, anyway, I'm just in a pissy mood tonight, man. You can tell.
No, and the only reason I brought up John Schaefer is because I was interested, and I kind of cheated and read the Cliff's Notes, which some of you younger listeners are like, "What the hell's a Cliff's Note?" Yeah, I guess he said, it's funny because I guess he's a devout Christian now. Whatever, I don't have a problem with that.
Well, and you know what?
It's not my path, but it's if it's his.
What
path,
else is interesting
whatever.
about that is, trust me, I saw that Loudwire was jumping all over him for that too, and it's like, look, dude, it's not for me. Okay, religion's not for me. I was in Catholic schools for 16 years, man. First grade through 8th grade, then high school, then college. I mean, I did it. I was raised by a Catholic family. I am a recovering Catholic, meaning I'm not a Catholic anymore. I'm very, very much not a Catholic. That being said, I understand how many people religion has had a positive impact on their lives. I realize why, people who are quote unquote saved, like I realize why that happens. I realize lots of people have been in dark places, and that was what they needed to get out of it. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to believe it. I don't have to, I can't wrap my head around it. I've never been able to wrap my head around religion. And what I mean by that is it doesn't compute to me as something that, it just doesn't compute as real to me. But that's not my point. My point is it very possible that John Schaefer did something, if nothing else, ridiculously stupid for his career, and then went to prison and literally got poo thrown at him? Is it possible that was the absolute rock bottom of his life? Probably. And is it possible that the way he got out of a really dark place was finding Christianity? Well, he wouldn't be the first one that did that. And I highly doubt he's saying that for show, because it ain't going to score. Saying you're a Christian ain't going to score any points with all the people who are mad at you for what you did before anyway. So that's another one that drives me nuts. Like, I don't care. If he's Christian now, good for him. Good for him. You know how many people have gotten, dude, every single person out there that goes to AA is, religion is built into that. So, I mean, look at how many people have gotten off of alcohol and drugs and all the horrible things because of it. Cool, go for it. I'm not saying anything about it either way. Just that the fact that that's just one more thing that they're jumping all over him for. It's like, dude, who cares? Who cares? First of all, his music wasn't satanic. Oh, well, Dante's Inferno. Okay, hello. Pretty sure Dante's Inferno was it's been around for a long time. Long before he wrote a song about it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, but I was going to say is, it's
a bunch of peckerheads.
I don't know. It's interesting, and the whole thing I started off on the whole Christian thing wasn't really to go off on it. It was more to like say,
I'm just going off on them being so ridiculous about it.
He said anything he does in the future is going to probably be he said, and I quote, to glorify God. So,
okay. That's me going, okay, well, if you start putting out a Christian album, probably not going to buy it.
So I don't know. Like, here's the thing, because I mean, I'm not going to.
It depends how far he goes with it.
Well, I'm not going to poo-poo it, and the reason I say I'm not going to poo-poo it is because, first of all, I can buy a Slayer or a Possessed or album and dismiss the stuff, Deicide album, and dismiss the stuff in it because I just don't care. I've listened to Trouble, whose lyrics are blatantly Christian. I've listened to Striper, whose lyrics are blatantly Christian, I equally don't care.
I like Striper. Striper kick ass.
Yeah, and I'm saying like, if it's one thing if he does lyrics that are important to him and mean something to him, and it's another thing to do like the whole evangelical version where it's like, all of you who do not take Christ into your life will go to hell. Like, that's different.
That's more, let me clarify. That's what I meant. Striper kicked ass. Just don't ask what Michael Sweet's up to, because God forbid.
I saw a Michael Sweet album today at the record show, and I almost took a picture and said, so that's what he's up to.
Dude, Michael Sweet is a ridiculously talented guy. He's a great singer. He's a great guitar player, great songwriter. And a band like Striper, it was important to them. That's awesome. And again, I've said this before, but what's funny about Striper, man, I always say that Striper was a metal band who got spit roasted. They got screwed from both ends because the metal fans hated them because they were Christian, and the Christians hated them because they were heavy metal. Like, I give that band a lot of credit. The point is, though, you could watch Striper, you could listen to Hell with the Devil, which, again, come on, that album's awesome. That song is awesome. It's not like you're going to some evangelical, prayer thing that you were talking about. So I guess that's more what I meant. If he wants to put out a record that, whatever, it's metal and it happens to have Christian lyrics, like, that's cool. The I can't think of her name, and this is bad, but the current female in Cradle of Filth. Why can't I think of her name? If I'm not mistaken, she's engaged to their guitar player, the Pinhead dude. What's her name? Hold on. I don't know if you saw this. It was kind of an interesting little thing. Zoe. Zoe is the keyboardist and female vocalist in Cradle of Filth. Recently came out, she's not only Christian, she's Catholic. She is actually a practicing Catholic in Cradle of Filth. And when she was, I thought it was interesting, she mentioned the famous Cradle of Filth t-shirt. The Jesus is a... Mm-hmm. Can't understand normal thinking. And she said she's like I'm a hardcore, she's like, I'm a Catholic and I'm okay with that because Jesus is one. And she's like, and what I mean by that is the way people use him to in other ways than what it's, you know what I mean? And the way people use him to push bad things, she's like, that makes me mad too. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. She's a Catholic, she's in Cradle of Filth. No one can be surprised when guys in heavy metal bands are
Tom Araya
are Christians.
Tom Araya says he goes to church or he at least used to at some point go to church every Sunday. I saw him in an interview one time, and he was talking about the album God Hates Us All, and they're like, do you really believe that? And he goes, no, I don't believe it. He goes, I sing it because it's gonna piss people off. He goes, it's ridiculous and it's over the top because God doesn't hate. And he goes, so to him, he said it was singing nonsense, and that's why he thought it was funny because, and that's the thing. Tom Araya does he's actually a devout he's actually a Christian. I think actually the only member of the band who had like aggressive leanings against any of that, I think, was Carrie. Like Jeff didn't care, as far as I remember.
No, Jeff didn't care. That's
Jeff didn't care. Dave, Lombardo didn't care, and I don't think he cared. He never showed it. If he did, Carrie's the only one who's really, he was always the one writing the "I hate God, God is dumb" type lyrics, and Araya just was like, I just want to piss people off and trigger people.
And who knows even how much of Carrie. I mean, and interestingly, I'm willing to bet if you look across the board at rock and, well, let's just say metal, you look across the board at metal bands, I am willing to bet you that the vast majority are at least Western bands, okay, are Christian.
Well, and
they might not be practicing. They might not be read the Bible every day. They might not be to go to church on Sunday. They might not be the Catholic. But I'm willing to bet you at the end of the day, they are more often Christian than they aren't.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I mean, really not the character they play on TV.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, the thing about it is, that, and I get it. Some of those Norwegian bands,
yeah, that's why
they mean it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about it.
They mean it. Like that's. But even like a guy like Glenn Benton, he's like, all of that was just BS. He's like, it was all just to sell records. I mean, and he used to be like one of the main guys. Like, oh yeah, you go talk to Glenn Benton about that. And he's like, yeah, he goes, it was pretty much just to sell records. And
well, it sold records.
Yeah, and it sold records. And I mean, it's funny because we another thing we always talk about on this show is the whole idea of kayfabe.
Which is a wrestling term, but it's why I use it for music too. Yeah,
yeah, it's a wrestling term. Basically, it meant the Undertaker had to be the Undertaker, whether he was, in the ring or buying toilet paper at Walmart. If you walked up to the Undertaker, and this, I mean, I don't mean like today. I mean like back in the peak WWF character days. If you walked up to him at Walmart and said, "Are you the Undertaker?" he'd have to talk to you this. Kayfabe
is the story, and a lot of wrestlers would maintain that kayfabe, even if they, again, were shopping at Walmart.
Yeah, like like I said, he'd be buying toilet paper, and the little boy would be like, "Excuse me, are you the Undertaker?" He'd be like, "I'm trying to buy some ass wipes."
I always tell the example of the Al Snow story because to me it's just hilarious. Back in the just for 30 seconds. Back in the early.
Yeah, I think you told that on the show before.
Oh, did I? Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's just that's a funny story. But my point is, bands used to. You're right that bands used to have to do that, at least on tour.
Yeah, I mean, but like, but the thing is though, like when bands weren't on tour, people didn't. I mean, you may run into James Hetfield at Armani Exchange. You may run into Kerry King at McDonald's, whatever. Yes, those interactions did happen if you lived near them or whatever. But generally speaking, like it's not like today where people post their lives on the internet. When bands left tour, they went to their houses. Jeff Hanneman went in his basement and drank beer and played guitar or watched football. Well, and that was it. And it's not like today where everything they post. So there was a part of kayfabe. So when Glenn Benton got off tour with Deicide, it wasn't him posting on Instagram, "Here's me and my kids" with big smiles on their faces. It was, you assumed he went back to his, basement Satan temple where he was like sacrificing goats every Saturday night and bathing in blood. Like, yeah, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but I mean, you didn't. Like Corpse Grinder is a perfect example. I remember Corpse Grinder he didn't morph into the Corpse Grinder that we all know and love today. I mean, he was the same guy, but I mean, what Corpse Grinder is regarded in the metal community today is way different than what he was regarded like 20 years ago. He was the singer of Cannibal Corpse who happens to be a pretty nice guy if you meet him at a concert. Now he's grown into this wholesome, like family man, like I'm gonna go and win stuffed animals and donate them to charity, and here's me and my family at Busch Gardens and we're all happy and I love my wife so much. By the way, I'm not making fun of that. I'm not like saying that in like a. I'm not saying
No,
it that
it's
way.
become his brand.
No, but that's him now. So that's who Corpse Grinder is. Why? Because there's no, okay, Corpse Grinder went on tour. I wonder what that guy does when he's not on tour. Now you know. He's taking his family to Busch Gardens. He's hanging out with his kids. He's celebrating his wife's birthday with her, and he's going to Target and buying clearance Legos. And
Did you ever see what Alex Webster says about that?
No.
I saw an interview with him, and he's like, George really embraces the whole putting your real life out there. He's like, the only reason I don't is because, dude, I'm so boring.
Well, we always said that about him.
Like, no one ever he's like, if I were to post about my real life, like, we would lose followers because I'm so boring.
Well,
he's like, I would have nothing to post about.
We always joked that Alex Webster probably went back on the tour bus and put on Number of the Beast on vinyl and just sat and listened to it.
And felt he needed to practice more.
Yeah, and felt he needed to practice. He probably practiced scales while
what?
listening to it.
I do have a question for you on this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not talking the Norwegian guys, because I'm not talking like the Norwegian extreme black metal bands that burn churches. Okay, not who I'm talking about. Who in metal or in the metal-related genres would you say is most likely like they're it's not kayfabe, they're actually just like that?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of musicians are now.
Well, let me clarify. The guys that have a very kayfabe persona, who out there do you think actually goes home and is that way? The opposite of Corpse Grinder. Like, Corpse Grinder is more like, I'm just going to not hide my real life because what I'm doing on stage is that, but this is my real life. I'm saying, what guys do you think that them on stage, that is their real life? Like
Lars.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, you're sure. Lars, absolutely.
I guarantee he goes home to his wife and is like, you're going to sit there and watch me play drums and, like, I'm going to kick you and, like, it's going to hit you so hard, yeah? Huh? You know, like, I guarantee, like, he like, forces his kids to, like, watch his live videos and stuff.
Because I am convinced that no one is more like, no one in real life would be exactly like their pictures and persona as much as Will Raymer probably still has wooden panel walls.
Like 1980s, like, trailer park wooden panel.
And walks around with a gun in one hand and an axe in the other. Like, I am convinced.
A pistol.
He actually walks around with an axe.
It can't just be a gun, though. It's got to either be a shotgun or a pistol.
That's he's one guy that you look at those pictures and you're like, no, he's like that. Like,
that's how he goes to bed at night.
That is him any day of the week. You know, he comes into Thanksgiving and he carves the turkey with an axe. You know,
he walks into Walmart to buy toilet paper, and he's like, he has to ask for help because he can't put down his axe and his pistol to carry the toilet paper to the front.
But I'm serious. I'm convinced no one brings their ridiculous stage persona home like he does. There are plenty of people who aren't faking on stage, meaning they're being themselves. But on the other hand, of those guys that it's like, these guys aren't going home and doing the dumb stuff you might see them pictured as. But then Will Raymer, I'm pretty convinced, is if you were to knock on his door right now,
he'd answer holding an axe and a pistol.
He would have an axe and a pistol and sunglasses, regardless of what time of day it is.
And no shirt on, just a leather vest.
Yeah. It's like, no, you really are that guy, aren't you? That's all I'm saying. Like, he's believable. I don't
know.
Actually, I know someone who used to know him who said, at least back in the day, he was like that.
That doesn't surprise me.
Maybe not the axe, but that he's exactly like he portrays himself on his record.
He's also like 4'10", I hear.
Hence the axe and the pistol.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's funny because that part of music always fascinates me, and especially with social media now. And like we've mentioned this on the show before, and I don't want to retread this topic necessarily, but I have to admit, I think, in my opinion, kayfabe going away has benefited metal.
Okay.
I think the fandom, because I think, look, I am the first person to say I hate social media. I can't stand it. I'm on social media only to keep in touch with a few friends and a few family members, and literally every other social media interaction I have is jokes. Like, I follow a bunch of like jokes, like that's gas station boner pills, like that came from a social media post from one of these things I follow, like, so like every other thing is humor. And as soon as I see something that I don't like, whether it causes me stress or like gets me like worked up or it's gone. I wipe it out. I nuke it.
I literally follow 0 people on Facebook.
So like, but point
I have
being,
Facebook friends, but I follow 0 of them, and I belong to 0 Facebook groups.
So, well, I belong to a couple Facebook groups, but mostly it's ice hockey, like it's goalie groups. So, like, we give each other tips on equipment. Well, yeah, but it's completely apolitical. That's the main thing.
I know.
It's hard to, and trust me when I say people have tried, but it's hard to inject politics into, hey, are these goalie pads any good? Trust me, people have tried, but it's less likely to happen.
My problem was I started by just trying to filter out not wanting to have to see political stuff. And then I eventually just realized I don't want to know what other people are posting about. I don't want to know what they're thinking. I just hate people so much that I just don't want to.
I've gotten a lot of help on a lot of my hobbies from those groups. But anyway, so like, but what the whole thing I was trying to say though is, but the one thing I feel like has benefited social media is removing some of this kayfabe. And because let me put it this way, like back in the 80s and even 90s, metal was a lot bigger than it is now, in my opinion. Now, I understand there are some bands that are huge. And Monty Marth is huge for a death metal band. Ghost, look, I don't want to get into the argument of whether they're metal or not. They're always associated with metal, whether they're musically metal or not. I'm not going to die on that hill or have that argument. A lot of metal fans like them. So they're usually lumped in with them. So, they're massive right now. Obviously Metallica, one of the biggest bands. But a lot of the smaller bands, I feel like it's benefited not trying to have to play a character and not having to go up and always, I'm going to play this song and because I hate life and life sucks. I think bands connect more with the audience. Like Corpse Grinder, when he would just go up there and be like, this next song's about shooting blood out of here, versus him like kind of doing the whole like, who out there is going to challenge me to headbanging? You will lose, like that stuff. And everybody knows he's the target clearance guy. Like I feel like when you go to a concert and you see him, I feel like it's more watching like a buddy. You know what I mean? Like it's less like watching somebody who's up on stage and it feels like they're playing a character. I don't know. Maybe I'm being stupid about this, and maybe nobody else feels this way. I feel less like I'm watching a play, and more like I'm at like a show where I'm watching people that I almost kind of know play their instruments and do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no, I don't personally know them, but I mean,
no. It's what's interesting is how I absolutely 100% agree with you, but I also absolutely disagree. And let me actually, I agree with everything you said. Actually, let me rephrase it. I'm in agreement with every single thing you said. And I know we've talked about this before, it's been a long time, which is why I don't want to spend too much time on it. But on the other hand, yes, I agree, but there's a part of me that misses it too. And I'm making the comparison to kayfabe. Part of it is being an adult versus being a child. I understand that. But wrestling was different. Even if you didn't think it was real, wrestling was different when you didn't see their backstage personas and when you weren't completely involved in everything else. When you could, whether or not you thought, you didn't have to think it was real, but that mystery, that character, that getting really sucked in. And I realize that that's what wrestling is, and that's not what music is, or that's not what metal is, or that's not what it should be. But there is part of when you strip those boundaries down, some of the, I don't know, what's the word I want to look at? Some of the mystique is gone. Dare I say some of the fun is gone. Now, again, some of this has to do with growing up. So I don't know how much of it is just looking back on fond childhood memories. But I do have fond memories of thinking, Slayer must be really big badasses. Or whatever. Even if I were to say to myself, they're probably really cool dudes. Or even if I had someone who told me they're really cool dudes. Even if I met them and they were really cool dudes, I still miss being captured into that. I still miss some of the fantasy about it. And again, I realize that's what wrestling is, and I realize music is music, but we've said a million times, the album art matters, the stage show, like, there are all of the intangibles about a band matter. And I don't know, there's just some of me that misses it. Again, it might just be me missing being a teenager. But I don't know. There's just, like I said, there's that part of me that misses some of it.
I don't know. It's different.
That separation, I guess, that not being, I don't have to know these people. And dude, I don't have a personal Instagram. I've never had a personal Twitter. I only have a personal Facebook to use Messenger. I don't follow anybody. I'm about as anti-social media as you can get. I only have anything with social. I would have gotten rid of my Facebook a long time ago, except I have to have a personal Facebook to be able to use the show's page. And I don't have a personal Instagram. I just have the one for the show. But there's still that, there's it's always gonna be there now, where it just no one can have that separation anymore. And like I said, in some ways I miss it. And maybe that's stupid. Maybe it's like, dude, you're an adult. You should just listen to Slayer because you like their music. And I was like, well, okay, but
I don't know. Like, you know where you know what I think of? I think of the fact that there's two things I think of, and neither one of these bands am I particularly a big fan of. I think of Slipknot, where when you were 15 years old or 16 years old and your mom just didn't get you, and it was these 20-somethings like all wearing scary masks and jumpsuits and writing songs about like being angry and everything. And I think to myself, like, they've been around for 25 years now, or 26 years now, really. And you think to yourself, like, now you're almost 40 or in your 40s. These guys are in their 50s or older. Probably in their early to mid 50s, I would assume. I don't know how old any of them are. And you think, and I'm wondering to myself, like, yes, I understand the nostalgia behind it. Like, if Slipknot suddenly decided to come out and in jeans and t-shirts with no masks, it wouldn't be the same, and I get that. But at the same time, it's like, I think at that point it becomes you're appreciating the performance aspect for different reasons. Right. When you're 15, and 16,
a gimmick. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you're 15, 16, it's like, oh man, like, this band's really gonna, I love this band. They're so heavy, and they're really like they're scary and they're freaky, and you wore their T-shirts because the kids at school would look you. And I never actually really did this, but some people I'm sure did. We actually knew kids who did. I'm wearing my Slipknot shirt because it's like look how weird they are, and it's me because I'm a freak, and that's why I listen to Slipknot. And before people are like, and I'm not saying that's every Slipknot fan, so nobody come after me saying, hey, I like Slipknot. That's not every, but you and I knew people who were like that. They listened to Marilyn Manson and Slipknot and all these bands like that because they were quote unquote, and I quote, they were freaks, and that's the freaks listen to freak music, and everything, but again, like you're thinking to yourself like, dude, this guy is 50 years old jumping around, or 50 something years old jumping around on stage wearing a mask, still complaining that his mom doesn't get him. You know what I mean? I guess at that point, when does it become silly? You know what I mean?
Well, and again, and I don't mean to keep going back to wrestling, but
But that's different though, because
no. But
wrestling is you're literally playing a character, and yes,
right.
Again, I get you're playing a character sometimes in music and stuff like that. Like, yes, I get Tobias Forge just playing a character when he goes on stage with Ghost. He's not being Tobias Forge in face paint. I guess, but at the same time, like wrestling there was stories associated with it, and it was more like watching a TV show, whereas music is.
I guess where I'm drawing the big difference though, which is, and I'm using wrestling as an example just because it's an easy example. I didn't think these two guys really hated each other, and I didn't think these guys were actually their characters. But I also didn't have to see. I didn't have to see everything else, so I didn't have to believe that was real to be able to watch it and believe it's the wrong word. But now, again, wrestling, for example, now it's like, I'm a bad guy, and then they walk off, they get out of the ring, and they're like, hi, Instagram, I'm a nice guy, and it's like, I didn't actually think you were evil before, but I kind of enjoyed being caught up in it. And I guess that's what I'm saying is, social media now, again, I don't care that Tom Araya I don't want him to act like, he's Mr. Satan when he's off stage. I'm saying I miss not seeing him in any other capacity. I miss the fun of, I don't really think this guy worships Satan, but I also don't see him posting yesterday being at Kmart. So there's still that kind of aura to it. That's more what I mean. And I mean, look, Slipknot, hey, it was a little while before we saw any of them without their masks on. And in fairness with Ghost, that was because Tobias got sued.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Ghost is different because he's legit playing a character.
So,
and like there's like
absolutely.
movies. And he did say he's actually going to probably get rid of the lore pretty soon, which is interesting. He said he's kind of getting sick of it, and I think a lot of people are. But the other thing I wanted to bring up with the other I said there was two examples.
Slipknot got sick of their costumes like a year into their career, and the Tattoo the Earth show that I went to, I read that they were miserable that entire tour because it was so freaking hot, and they're sitting up there going like, wearing masks and jumpsuits, and this sucks. Like, they wanted to toss it then, and then they realized, well, that's how they make money. I don't know. Like I said, sometimes the transparency is like, it's cool, but
the other thing I wanted to bring up, I said I had two examples. The other thing I wanted to bring up was David Draymond, actually, from Disturbed. And right. He used to have those two things on his chin, those two metal things on his chin. Right. And I remember he stopped wearing them because he one day got out of the shower or something like that, looked in the mirror and he looked at those two things and said dude, you're hitting 50. What the hell are you doing? And then he took them out. I wonder, I think some of these bands get to, I think that's I think what happened to Tom Araya, because I remember Slayer used to have a clear no smiling, no laughing, no goofing around rule. Because there's a part in Scott Ian's book where
Which, again, I thought was fun.
He specifically talks about that, where he specifically talks about how Slayer is not supposed to laugh or not supposed to smile. And Slayer and them were on tour together, and they would play pranks on one another the entire tour. And I guess one time, like, Slayer was up there playing, and they're doing Rain and Blood, and I guess they went to a fish market, and they bought this giant, like, red snapper or something like that, and just slowly lowered it.
Very tasty.
And lowered it in front of Tom Araya, like, slowly, and it just was hanging there. And Tom Araya just burst out laughing and was, like, cracking up. And I guess, like, that was a big no-no in Slayer, because you're not supposed to be happy and smiling. You're supposed to be evil and dark. And then I think, like, shortly after, that's when Tom Araya started doing all of his interviews where he's, like, cackling like a hyena, all through the interviews. I don't mind that. Like, I don't know. I actually kind of prefer that Tom Araya. You know what I mean?
I do. I'm just simply saying there's a part of me that misses it. That I don't have to believe that Tom never smiles, but I loved never seeing him smile because I could still get caught up in the fun.
He would just tell you to help each other out because that's what you're here to do.
Right.
No, I don't know.
Like I said, there's just that childhood part of me that misses some of the fun.
But I think it's still there, and a lot of bands still do it. It's just depending. It just takes more now, and that's the thing. Like, I think the problem isn't even necessarily the bands haven't. It's just, and it's the same thing with. It's the same reason wrestling abandoned it. It's because you can't, you can't live your life, because anywhere you go, someone could have a camera or photo. If you're a celebrity, anywhere you go, somebody could have a camera of it, and it could be photographing or videotaping you so you have to eventually say to yourself, like, do I want to live my entire frickin' life as this person, or do I want to get off stage and be myself?
It used to be like if you stayed out of LA, you were probably not going to run into the paparazzi.
Yeah, I mean, somebody might run into you at Walmart or Target or a gas station buying some gas station boner pills or something.
But that person at Walmart was probably not the paparazzi, meaning they didn't have a camera in their hand being ready to take pictures of the person, where now everybody has one.
Exactly.
Everybody has a phone in their pocket. Nothing is hidden. There's, like I said, it's transparency, which is cool, but again, there's that level of, but it was, I mean, it was, again, that's just probably just, being an adult and versus being a kid where, you thought, I don't know, it's like thinking Santa Claus is real. It's a lot more fun to think he's real. It's a lot more fun to think Santa Claus is real. And maybe this is a really weird way to say it, but maybe I think Slayer being evil is like still believing in Santa Claus. Like, there was just that. And as you start getting older, when you're like, I really don't think there's a Santa Claus, but I kind of want to think there is because this is fun. Like, that's what I miss. That middle time when you're like, I really know there's no Santa Claus, but it's fun to get caught up in it. Like, that's just fun. But the world's also lame. But I mean, dude, you gotta. All right, man. I know. Like, I'm just tired. If I'm not entertaining tonight, it's because I'm just dead tired. But I think on this subject, you have to mention whatever video it was you were watching the other day. And you were laughing so hard, I would have thought you just had gas station boner pills. You were watching some, like, music is Satan or something video the other day.
Oh,
the one thing was just hilarious where it was like Steve Vai. Like, this is so funny.
So I was on Instagram the other day, and occasionally you'll see, like, the old Satanic Panic videos from the 80s, like, the ones that, like, the churches used to pass out, like, here's how to identify your child is getting into Satan. Look for, Yeah, and like some of it's ridiculous. It's like go into their room and look for an altar featuring a goblet and a dagger and black robes with a pen. Like I'm thinking to myself, like seriously, like like you're just gonna walk into the room and be like, huh? I didn't notice that giant pentagram carved into the ground. You know, like I never noticed that in little Billy's room before. You know, it's ridiculous like that. But there was this one where this guy. He was doing a whole presentation on like signs that, you know, the devil is invading your teenager's life or whatever. And he's showing album covers clearly from bands he's never even heard of, never seen, and knows nothing about other than someone told him they are bad. And sure enough, at points he recognizes it, and sure enough, at parts he recognizes the quote, and I quote, "good work the PMRC is doing," because this video is from like 1988 or something like that. I was having a blast watching these. It's just so funny because they're just so full of crap. And again, I'm not criticizing if religion's your thing, and you know the Christianity, whatever, Catholicism, whatever. If that's your thing, I'm not criticizing it. I'm literally criticizing somebody taking something that they don't know what it is and telling you that it's evil because they're told that it's evil. Like for instance,
like they're told that John Schaefer politics, therefore it's the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. And the funniest one I sent you was this guy he's showing all these album covers, and he shows Slayer's Hell Awaits, and you know, I'm gonna make this up. Pentagram 7 churches, or not Pentagram, sorry, Possess 7 churches, and then he shows a picture of a pair of this banner that says warfare, and all you see is a pair of cowboy boots and like demons around them. And he's like, and this band Warfare, as you can see, they're using satanic imagery on the cover, and they're all about Satan and evil. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that. And I search, and sure enough, what they did was they cropped the bottom part of Steve Vai's album Passion and Warfare. Steve frickin' Vai, which, by the way, I want to say 80 to 90% of that album is freaking instrumental, and the stuff that's not instrumental, like, is literally like the audience is listening, where it's like a play act, like a skit about a kid coming to school and playing his guitar too loud in his classroom. Like,
what's funny is like you messaged me and you're like, "Have you seen this?" I was like, "That's the bottom of Passion and Warfare." Like even I recognized it. Okay. I realize I'm good at this sort of thing and I like metal, but my point is, like, I like Steve Vai, but it's not as if I listen to Passion and Warfare all the time, to the point where, like, it was so blatantly stupid I even recognized it.
And the thing is, Passion and Warfare, the album, half of the album is like angels for passion and you know, angels in heaven, and then the bottom half is and warfare for like, and that's where the demons and the darkness. You know, it's so, and Steve Vai's just standing in the middle holding his guitar. It's not like he's doing anything. And I'm just laughing because I'm thinking to myself, they were so desperate for something else that they literally just, and this guy's like, in this band Warfare, I'm like, that's not even the band. It's like half of an album title. It was ridiculous and it was hilarious. I'm like cracking up, and I'm like watching this like, I watched 2 of them. Like there's a YouTube channel that has a whole collection of these, and I've been going through them because, man, are they entertaining. Because we're like, teenager, let me tell you, if you listen to bands like Venom and Megadeth, and I was saying, he's like, Venom and Megadeth and Slayer, that's when you invite him in. And I'm just like laughing so hysterically at all of this. I don't care. I find it entertaining. Look, again, I'm not mocking the religious part of this. I'm totally mocking the idea of somebody told you something was bad. You don't know anything about it or why anyone is interested in it. You just know that it's not what you like, and therefore you must throw it out.
Well, exactly, unintentionally what I was saying earlier about the glorious burden.
Well, and that's what I agree 100%. Like it's exactly the same rule. Like there is no different than saying, you know, look, I'm also going to say, if you don't like a band's view on something, if you don't want to listen to Marilyn Manson because he was accused of a bunch of stuff, fine. I'm not saying you have to listen to that. If you don't want to listen to Iced Earth because you don't like what John Schaefer did, fine. If you don't want to listen to Slayer because you know what, you're a devout Christian and you just don't feel comfortable listening to that kind of stuff, fine. I don't care. But if you tell me, hey, you know what, man, I'm really into like, you know, Catholicism, Christianity, whatever. So I just can't bring myself to listen to stuff like Slayer and Deicide, like Metallica, you know, like Megadeth's later stuff, because, you know, maybe you don't like The Conjuring on Peace Cells. I'm going to say, all right, whatever. I don't care. You know, like it's...
Right, but I mean, that same person is not going to say the worst album ever recorded is Peace Cells because Dave Mustaine said something stupid one time. Like, and that doesn't... It's idiotic.
And
anyway,
that's the thing.
To keep beating a dead horse, but
and that's the thing. Like, it's one thing to say, "Hey, I'm not into this because I don't agree with it." Fine, but that's cool. That's cool.
I don't even
you
care
know
if
what?
they're like John Schaefer is the worst person ever in metal.
Yeah, I don't even care. Like, I don't like him.
That's
whatever. Cool. Where I draw the line is when you start telling me, and you know what? You shouldn't either. And here's why. Like, I'm fine. Like, if you tell me, hey, you know, I see you're listening to Burzum. Did you ever look up Varg? I don't listen to Burzum. And you know what? That's a perfect example, actually. First of all, I'm not a big black metal fan. I like some black metal, like the first few Dark Throne albums. I love Immortal. Like, I'm very, very, very selective about the black metal I listen to. I will not sit here and pretend and be a poser about, I love it, I'm all into it. Very selective about the black metal I listen to. You know, I know Burzum is regarded as one of the cornerstone black metal bands, you know, because Varg was, you know, he was in with Mayhem and everything else. But I honestly just don't feel comfortable listening to Burzum because I know what the kind of person he is, and I know the kind of stuff he says and the things he embraces. Right. And you know what? That's my choice from the standpoint of is Burzum responsible for the worst album ever recorded? Okay, I get it. It's the worst. Okay, I get it. I freaking get it, dude. Like, you are beating this horse into like this horse. This horse is starting to pass the mantle right now, and it's going into the freaking magma. Okay, I know. Like, but like, the thing about it is, like, if you tell me, you know, I'm going to tell you, like, I don't listen to Burzum. Oh, I do. All right, whatever. I don't care. Like, if you're comfortable with it. You know, that's fine. I don't care. Did I ever tell you that my actual story about that? I don't know. It was when I saw Iron Maiden in New Jersey. And, of course, this happens in Newark. I'm sorry, but this is the truth. There is this woman, I don't know. She was younger than me. I don't know. Let's just say 30s, whatever. And she's hanging out. It's just it's a group of randoms. We're all just kind of hanging out and we're talking about different bands. And she's like, I'm into a lot of that Norwegian black metal. She's like, I love Burzum. They're awesome. She's like, and everybody assumes that I'm racist because I love Burzum. That's horrible. But you know what? Screw it. I'm a racist. I'm going, oh my God. Like, she goes off and screaming about how Burzum's her favorite band, and she actually is a horrible racist. And I'm looking at her going, like, what do you do? Do you laugh? That's not funny that she is, but you have to laugh at the situation. Well, but I mean, like, I really wish I would have rephrased that, because now someone's going to be like, did you see that? He just said I did not say that. I was quoting what she said. No, but she literally was saying, like, Burzum was her favorite band, and it eventually led to her being drunk and admitting that, yeah, because she agrees with it, you know. You know, but that's the thing, like, and the thing is, as far as I know, and I don't know much about Burzum. Maybe that's not funny, but I laugh. As far as I know, and I don't know much about Burzum, it's not, the music itself has nothing to do with his current views. So I don't know. I've never listened to it. You know, and that's the thing. I've actually never listened to it. And you know, people always talk about Pantera because Dimebag had the Confederate. You know, and I don't want to get into this part of it too much. No, I know. But my whole point is, again, you know, I know we were talking about religion, that, you know, if you don't want to listen to Slayer because it goes against your religious beliefs, fine. If you don't want to listen to Deicide, fine. Whatever. I don't care. If you have a problem with a band because of something the person did or a belief the person holds, fine. And if you want to, I'll even go as far as to say, if you want to judge someone else from the standpoint of, I really don't think you should listen to that, fine, but don't tell them they can't. Like, that's where I kind of draw the line. Like, look, you want to listen to Burzum? I think Varg's a prick of immense proportions. I don't want to support him by buying his albums, which reminds me, on all these, one of the comments on this Iced Earth video was like, "Oh, I destroyed all my Iced Earth stuff. I threw it all in the trash." And I'm thinking, and I was like, you realize you're not hurting John Schaefer, right? Like,
well,
you
we talk about
realize
that all the time. It's like, dude, you already paid for it.
He's got your money. It's not like he has to give the money back as soon as you break the CD. Like, dude, he's got it. Now, I get some people like doing stuff because they want to post it on Instagram and get the views and the attention and look at me, look what I'm doing. Fine. If you genuinely don't if you genuinely say, I can't bring myself to listen to this and I don't want to sell it because that's just putting it in somebody else's hands, fine.
What?
I just hate the performance aspect of it in terms of I'm going to destroy my stuff live on camera to let you know that I'm sticking it to them. When in actuality, you already gave them your money, man. All you're doing is just
fair, though, that plays to that same social media culture of, and again, it's different when it happens. It's symbolically, when the Metallica thing with Napster happened and people were in mass like burning their albums in the street. Again, Lars is sitting back there going, dude, I hate to break it to you, but you're going to end up buying that record again because you still like it. So in about 5 years, you're going to come back and buy another copy.
When you get over it, you're going to buy it.
Yeah, but I mean, I do get okay, but man, it's all just but you know me, like I have a big problem with with two things about what you're talking about. My actual problem digs into two things. One, it's nothing. There are very few things that bother me more. Well, the easy one is just because you don't like something, you think that no one else should have it.
Yeah, that was the whole point I was saying, yeah.
Yeah. But, and then the one, and so I'm agreeing with you, that the one that makes me really mad and the worst kind of people ever are the ones who, it's not just that they don't like something and they don't want you to have it. It's the other way around. It's they don't want you to be happy. So why don't they look and try to find things that they can take away from you and ruin for you? And, like there was, we talked about this years ago, but there was that one person who had a YouTube channel entirely dedicated to just like ruining things for people.
It was like why your favorite band is awful, and it was like, and it wasn't even like why they musically. I mean, like why they're terrible people or something.
Yeah, like she jumped all over. And I remember her saying one of her comments was, James Hetfield is horrible because he took a picture with some Aryan MFer, and it was literally Carrie King. And it's like, I mean, whatever, but you're going, like, if you're a Christian, that's great. If you're a Christian who thinks that because you're a Christian, you need to ban everything for everybody else, I hate you. If you just think that you're a miserable person, so you need to go out and find things to ban, it's a little different if, you know what? I mean, let's go back to like think about like People versus Larry Flint, stuff like that. If you were someone who went to your local grocery store and you looked up and you saw Hustler magazine for sale in the store where children shop, you at least have an argument of saying, well, yeah, but I'm kind of here and it's not just offending you, but it's out in the open. It's completely different.
It's not
when
like when
go
Duff
looking
gets
for it.
It's not like when Duff gets that brown paper bag in his mailbox every month.
Here's my point. There's a big difference between saying that I don't think that I was at the grocery store the other day and I saw Hustler magazine and it was being sold on the shelves where you know my 10-year-old could very easily, or whoever this person is saying, my 8-year-old, my mother, who doesn't matter who this person is talking about.
Mother-in-law.
Where
my mother-in-law couldn't clearly find this magazine.
I don't know. I'm making this up about some fictional person.
My mother-in-law. I don't want my mother-in-law having access to Hustler.
Whatever. That's different than them driving out into BFE to go into a porno store and then being like, see what they sell here? Because
the hell kind of mother-in-law? My mother-in-law brought home Hustler and gas station boner pills.
I don't know, dude. I'm making this up. I don't know. I'm not someone who's going to be in the position where I'm ever going to be offended by something like this. But that's at least you at least have an argument when you're, again, do I think it's crap that the PMRC would walk into a record store and be like, and have a problem with it? But it's a little different when you see it plastered all over everywhere, to where like it's so out in the open, like, okay, it might upset me, and you know, I don't want things banned.
Well, what was the argument in the
going
People
out
versus...
of your way to just find stuff to ruin for people pisses me off more than anything.
What was the main argument in the People versus Larry Flint, where it was like a matter of taste? Like, is it a matter of ethics or a matter of taste or something like that? Remember they were talking about that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I don't remember
that's like what your whole argument is. Like, there's a difference between saying it's a matter of ethics and a matter of taste, or I think it's ethics, whatever. Where
morals,
you can say it's a matter of this shouldn't exist because it harms society, versus this shouldn't be where it's not tasteful to have it where for mass consumption.
It's not tasteful to have a strip club in the middle
across the street from an elementary school.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Those are different conversations.
Right.
Like if you were to say, and to be honest with you, when the PMRC wanted everything banned, that made me mad. If you want to slap a label on it, there's a part of me that disagrees with that from an artistic integrity perspective. But I think if something legitimately, hey, they do it with movies, don't they? They say that this movie is rated R, meaning, hey, you know, if you're a parent and you've got kids or your mother-in-law, you don't want them seeing it. Like, video games have ratings. I guess to say that an album had explicit material, again, I'm with the argument to a certain extent that you don't want that, but that doesn't bother me. That really doesn't bother me. That's, and I'll tell you why, because it still leaves the choice. You are saying, look, this has offensive material on it. You have so here's the difference. So you don't buy that record and get home and go, wait, what? Like you don't buy that record and get home and realize that when that when your mother-in-law wanted the new album by Guns N' Roses, that she was going to go home. Like Lies by Guns N' Roses, there's some extremely racist things that are on that record, but Patience is on it, right? So you could very easily hear Patience on the radio and go out and buy that record and go home, and then you hear One in a Million and you're like, wow, this really sucks. So having that sticker there, at least, but it leaves open the option, I guess is what I'm saying. Well, you can still make the choice. When you're banning something, we're having a different conversation. And it's an even bigger conversation when people are just looking to do. And with the PMRC, come on, Tipper Gore was not. Tipper Gore was not
listening to Venom.
She was not offended by a Venom record. She was just trying to. She was looking
for something to use as an example.
D. Snyder said that himself. He's like, if she if she thinks these lyrics are dirty, maybe it's because she has a dirty mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you look hard enough for something, you'll find it. Whether it's there or not, you'll find it.
It is a social media issue in 2025 where, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna who can I ruin today? Whose life can I ruin? Whose career can I ruin?
Yeah, I know it's a little something about that.
I know, but I just mean like
this show has a little bit of a history of people saying I'm bored, so I want to screw with somebody.
I mean, I'm aware
not
that
us, by the way. It happened to one of us, not us.
It must be tiring.
But that's the thing.
If you tiring waking up and thinking, how can I be offended today?
I have another example from the metal community about this. I always see on Battle Vest pages, people always ask, "Hey, am I allowed to do this? Hey, is this okay? Hey, I don't want to get called out if I do this." Like, I'm talking like somebody's like, "Oh, can I put I'm making something up. Can I put a REO Speedwagon patch on my battle vest?"
Or Speedwagon patch on my vest.
Well, but I'm saying, like, can I put an REO Speedwagon patch on my vest, or will I get like called a poser? Because everything else is like death, I'm like, there's a lot. I always see the name 3 bands like with the shirt you're wearing or whatever. I gotta be honest with you, like, this ties right into this. It's very similar behavior. Like, if you have enough time to pay attention to what the hell clothes somebody else is wearing, and trust me, I get it. With metal, we're very protective. We guard our stuff because it's precious to us. I get it. But dude, if somebody's at a show and they have like a death patch on and like everything, and then they all of a sudden have like a freaking, like, I have a Billy Idol patch on one of my vests. I don't care. Call me out. Oh, Billy Idol, that's nice and metal. I don't care. I'm going to look at you and be like,
I've got like REO Speedwagon and Grand Funk Railroad next to Obituary, and I don't care.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have Billy Idol and Buddy Holly on one of my vests. Like, yeah, you know what? I like them.
And I've got,
piss off.
Since you're going with bees,
go take some gas station boner pills and go.
To continue the alliteration of the letter B, I've got a Babylon 5 patch on mine, buddy.
Like, seriously, go take some freaking gas station boner pills and go mind your own business. Like, it's just, I just, the whole concept, like, it all ties together, and it happened. And that's the thing. Like, it's, I guess I should say maybe what brings it all together is it's not just external, it's also internal. Like, somebody, the fact that people are honestly asking, is this okay if I put this patch on my vest? Like, who's going to say no? And if they say no, what's the rationale? No, it's not okay to put a Billy Idol patch on your back. Why? It's not your freaking vest, man. Like, and it's a good applies to the music.
Well, I don't know.
Well, you can't listen to Burzum. Why? It's not your freaking record collection. It's not your freaking CD collection.
What's worse, though? What is it worse to be the guy that's like, you can't put that on your vest because you'd look like a poser?
It's worse to be the guy because people from the out. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Or is it equally as bad to be the guy that thinks you need other people's approval to have REO Speedwagon on your patch?
Well,
like,
no, and the thing about it is, I think a lot of times, I don't blame the person who's asking, and the reason why is because of what you're saying and what we were saying before. Because there's a lot of really friggin' bored people out there who have nothing else going on except for to find that guy with his REO. Dude, remember when a picture like of me and my vest came out, and like how many people were like, "Oh, this guy's got a Kiss patch on his vest. Automatically everything he says is completely null and void because he's got to be an idiot." And I'm thinking to myself, like, do you understand how many frickin' bands in metal owe their careers to Ace Frehley?
Dude, If they knew you, they would know there's 100 better reasons to think you're an idiot. That wouldn't make my top 100 list of reasons you're an idiot. The backdraft
gas
story
station boner
is
pills
number
notwithstanding.
Backdraft story number 1. This would be like 102 maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
It's also funny that it's like, people are like, what can I find on this guy to make fun of him? Oh,
and that's
Kiss
it.
patch.
And that's it. Like, and like, what can I like? And the funny thing is, my reaction to that was, I don't really care. Like, Do you think that your disdain for a band that I enjoy is gonna ruin my day? You know, like you're gonna say, dude, your Kiss patch sucks, and I'm gonna be like, ah, crushed.
It was like, it's like if you work in retail, your district manager, if they can't figure out something that you did wrong, they don't serve a purpose. So they have to wake up in the morning and go, I better find something wrong with that store today. You know?
And I think to myself, like you said before, it's got to be a pretty miserable to wake up every day and have to go over your own self and say, okay, am I wearing this shirt? Do I know 3 songs?
You know what?
Okay, cool.
But then you also have to check and see if anybody else came up with something this morning. Like when you want to get stuff banned and taken away, you have to wake up in the morning and see if anyone else is already saying something that needs to be taken away, because you immediately have to take that away. Even if you liked it, you have to get rid of it yourself. And then you have to expand on that. Like if you say James Hetfield standing next to this Aryan guy who's Kerry King, if someone already said that, then you need to acknowledge that, but you're not cool. You are worthless if you can't then add on to the conversation. Like I said, it's got to be tiring being a jackass.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. And like I said, but it's in the metal community. It's outside of the metal community.
Of course, it's in every. And you know, every community is. You know, is I saw someone sometimes say that like every Reddit thread is just the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Like,
oh yeah,
like that's every Reddit group there is every single person in there is like that about whatever the topic is.
Yeah, you
like
get keyboard muscles.
They are all elitists, regardless of what regardless of what the subreddit group is. You know, if it's about metal, then they're all, you know, metal elite. There's probably a subreddit about rubber bands and, you know, oh, you use the blue one, you suck.
No, they're arguing over calling them gum bands.
Yeah, it's like
in Pittsburgh.
I wasn't doing the Pittsburgh one, but yeah, no. You know, who puts ketchup on a hot dog anyway, you loser? I don't know. It's just I actually saw that one time. I knew you sucked when I saw, like, you lost all credit when I saw that you had ketchup on your hot dog. I saw that one time. And the hot dog had nothing to do with whatever the post was. But it is, I don't remember the context.
Well, I mean, like,
someone quite literally pointed out that the guy had ketchup on his hot dog and therefore is a complete asswipe and is, I don't know, man.
Probably taking gas station boner pills.
It's also one thing if you're being funny and you're saying it in jest or you're saying it to break someone's balls, not as if you actually do think people who put ketchup on hot dogs.
Yeah, sometimes you just break them balls.
You know, this is the guy that's sitting there going, well, anybody who puts ketchup on a hot dog is a lower form of being. And I'm thinking anyone who would type that on the internet is clearly... You know? Are
you being serious, or are you just breaking balls?
Are you just breaking balls? I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know. The point being is, like, again, you know, like what you want to like, listen to what you want to listen to. Like, I'm so sick of the ghost argument. Like, oh, they're not metal. Like, who cares? Like, dude, some of the stuff in my music. Like, I went to the record show today. I bought The Cure. I bought freaking Sisters of Mercy. I bought Depeche Mode. And I mean early Depeche Mode, like total synth pop Depeche Mode. I bought, you know, the Smiths. I'm like, you don't always need to just listen to... It's okay to say, hey, that ABBA song's pretty catchy. It's okay. You listen to show tunes. You know what I mean? Like,
it's because every ABBA song is catchy.
Well,
like it or don't like them, all of their songs are catchy.
So there's a video app, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's literally, it's like it's on Roku. It's on, and I think it's called like Excite Video something. I can't remember what. Either way, point being, you can set it up where you say, I want videos from the 1980s from this genre, and they also have playlists of music videos. So it's kind of basically like putting MTV on. So sometimes when I'm folding laundry or something, I put that on because it's fun. Because again, it takes me back to like when I was watching MTV growing up. and an ABBA song came on, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's been stuck in my head.
It could be one of... Dude, the thing about ABBA is they have like 25 songs that everybody knows, even if they don't know who ABBA is.
Super Trooper.
Yeah, I'm serious. They have a million songs that are just...
That was it. It was super true. It's like super trooper. Like the dudes are in the background just going super trooper. Or is it like super trooper, like something like that. And that was literally stuck. It's not stuck in my head anymore, obviously, but it was stuck in my head for like a week. And the funny thing is, I'd never heard the song before because I'm not a big ABBA fan. I'm not. The only songs I know from ABBA are the songs my grandmother used to make me listen to while listening to the Mamma Mia soundtrack.
I'm a big fan of Mamma Mia. Not the movie; it's great on stage, but
no, she had the Broadway soundtrack. Like Dancing Queen, like that song, and
Dancing Queen, and Gimme,
Take a Chance,
Gimme,
Take a Chance, Take a Chance. That one and all.
Fernando and
like that.
Take a Chance on Me.
Yeah, Take a Chance on Me.
Waterloo.
Yeah.
I can't drink the Waterloo is a brand of like seltzer water, and I really like it. But every time I drink it, I pick it up and go Waterloo, blah 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 blah, blah water. Like every freaking time that I drink it, voulez-vous. Like, they're just a band that has they have a million songs. You don't like or dislike. It's not the point. They're just a band who just wrote a ton of songs.
But I brought up
heard even if you did it indirectly. But yeah, I get your point.
No, I brought up ABBA because, again, it's always. So I brought up ABBA because Ghost is always criticized. Oh, they're turning into ABBA. They're turning into
they're
ABBA.
Swedish.
Yeah, that's why they always get compared to ABBA, and I think they covered an ABBA song too. So it's like I'm like, but that's the thing. Like, I don't care. Like, I think there is so much good music out there that it's such a waste to say I'm only allowed to listen to thrash and death metal. I'm only and I get it when you're a teenager because you're super insecure. You don't have much going on.
You know why you're insecure, right? Because you're not old enough to buy the.
You're not old enough to buy gas station boner pills yet.
Gotta wait till you're 18 or have a good fake ID.
I'm telling you, man. What? But man,
just a Ted Nugent T-shirt.
Like, seriously, you know what? You hit 18, you go to the gas station, pick up some of those gas station boner pills, and you're like, well, I got my Saturday and Sunday planned. You pick up a gas station boner pill and a Hustler, you're like, well, I know what I'm doing this weekend.
I wonder if anybody ever takes one and then goes in to buy one.
What? They take one and then goes in to buy more?
No. So I wonder how many times like someone is buying gas station boner pills while standing there with a raging boner. I don't know.
Dude, okay,
that would be funny.
So there is a story here in and this is another funny. I don't know, for some reason this episode's about boners, metal, and bitching. There was a news story. So, by the way, another thing I hate about social media, there's always a killjoy. Like, whenever you laugh, and I don't mean like somebody got murdered and you make a joke about it. Like, no, you don't joke about that. But you make a joke about a ridiculous story. There is a joke about not a joke. There is a news story about a police chief who literally would spike the morning coffee with Viagra and then used to take dumps in random places in his like detectives' offices and wait for them to find them. Like, I'm just cracking up at this. And the funny thing was that the first thing that came to my mind was, can you imagine you finish your morning coffee and then a call comes in and you're just like sitting there at your desk like, huh. And then all the male detectives all simultaneously look at one another and they're like, I ain't getting it. Like, you just finished your morning coffee and you're sitting there with a raging boner. Like, dude, I can't go out and get this call right now.
The boner scene in See No Evil, Hear No Evil. It's the funniest thing ever.
But I'm just but of course there was a killjoy. This is not funny. This could cause a heart condition, and I'm like, it didn't happen. Like, the scene I am envisioning in my head didn't happen. I'm not laughing at what he did. I just took what he did and wrote like a scene you'd see in a frickin' movie like American Pie or Fast Times at Ridgemont High or Police Academy. Like, like people can't like that again, it all boils down to people can't enjoy things, and when they see someone else enjoying them, they're like, I gotta put a stop to that. Ugh. But
he's full of crap. No, I know.
Exactly. Well, I got to put a stop to that. So, like, that's, but, people argue Ghost. Oh, they're not metal. They're Scooby-Doo chase music. Then don't listen to them.
I bust balls because I bust balls. The
like,
last
that's the
thing
thing
in the
though.
world I care about is whether or not someone listens to Ghost.
But that's the
Or
thing.
ABBA.
Like, you can tell when people are just like, Ghost
I'll take
sucks,
ABBA over
haha,
Ghost, let's
versus,
just be fair.
versus like, like, oh, I don't know why anybody listens to this band. It makes me so infuriated that this band is filling arena. Well, who cares? Like, they're playing Saturday night in an arena. Does that stop you from doing anything? Like,
does that stop?
Like,
the only way that could inconvenience you is if everyone going to the Ghost concert bought out all the gas station boner pills, and now there's none left for
they
you.
probably did. Let's face it. I mean, if you're going to Ghost, you need to at least have a few boner pills in your pocket. I mean,
you would think it would be necessary. Right?
I need to. You're like, dude, I need to hit Exxon. Why? I need some dick pills. Like, why, you planning on getting laid tonight? No.
We haven't beat a phrase into the ground this much since years ago when we had an entire episode about saying you got to wash your ass. Like, that was you got to wash your ass. That was the last time we dug a phrase into the ground.
Oh, I think so. One of two things is going to happen for our listeners right now.
We won't have
We'll
them
never
anymore.
mention it again, or this is going to be the thing for like the next 3 months. Like, dude, this album is better than a pack of gas station boner pills.
Wow. We are the worst. I think
We are the worst. This is
We
like
are
the worst.
the
This is
worst.
the worst podcast. This is the worst podcast out there right now, and I'm here for it.
We are the worst.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, and it's funny because people do enjoy listening to this podcast. We actually do get messages saying like, you get me through my week, and I was in a really bad place, and you guys made me laugh when I really needed it, and I appreciate those comments. I really do. So I as stupid as we sound, but I will admit fully admit, I do this show very selfishly, and I know Duff does as well, and I don't want to speak for you. You're sitting right here. But I generally do this show because on Friday night it gives me an excuse to have a few beers, laugh my ass off, talk about dumb crap, rather than just sitting in my den like watching a movie for the 100th time.
Because you know what else you would be doing?
Getting
You'd be
some
going
gas
to the
station
gas
boner
station.
pills. Like,
You would.
I got to figure out because I want to go to the goth club in Newark, and I haven't made it there yet. And I keep saying every weekend I'm going to go, and I just can't for some reason. But I got to make sure there's a gas station right around there so I can make sure I stop in and get some boner pills for no reason. just so I can,
just to make driving home a little bit more awkward.
Well, yeah, exactly. I or even worse, the train ride home.
Yeah.
I guaranteed my own seat.
It ends up on all over social media the next day that the host of the Heavy Metal Hangover caught in a train with a boner.
It's like, I couldn't help it.
I couldn't help it. I took the pills.
I took some back gas station boner pills. What do you want from me? Don't worry, it's not gonna hurt you.
Got armadillos in his trousers. No,
Yeah, the cucumber wrapped in tinfoil.
I love that scene of that movie. It's just
That's my favorite part about that whole entire scene is the fact that it's wrapped in tinfoil. Like, I get they had to like think of a way for it to be setting off the metal detectors, but I'm thinking to myself, if you're shoving a cucumber in your pants, why the hell would you wrap it in tinfoil? Like tinfoil of all things.
well. The funny thing is, the cucumber wasn't necessary.
Because he's got armadillos in his trousers.
No, the joke was that the metal detector was setting off on his crotch, so that's where they'd have to search. You could have very well just put aluminum foil. I don't know. But it's funny anyway. Look at it.
I think it's about time to get out of here so we can go buy some gas station boner pills.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been.
I'm gonna name this episode "Gas Station Boner Pills."
You might as well. We didn't talk about anything else. I am just, dude. Like I said, man, I came into this episode extraordinarily tired and in a very pissy mood. So I apologize if I added nothing to this show but bitching, whining, and agreeing that gas station boner pills are
hilarious.
Now
I'm going to go listen to Super Trooper by ABBA.
Just listen to their greatest hits. It's just awesome.
I'm going to look for the greatest. You know what? The hell with it. I'm buying their greatest hits on vinyl.
You should buy greatest hits on vinyl. Dude, it's
I've got so much to listen to right now. It's nothing funny.
Thing is, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to be all like, hey, let's go listen to ABBA. But I mean, in the world of greatest hits, there's actually pretty much is, because every song on it is a big song, you know. Anyway, yeah, it is about time we get out of here. I definitely need to sleep, and maybe by next week I will be less of a crab ass.
Super trooper.
But we will see how it works. Anyway, so we want to thank you very much for listening, and if you made it this far, God help you, because yeah, it was one of those episodes. So anyway, we want to thank you very much for listening. My name is Duff.
My name is... Should I say it?
Go for it one more time.
My name is Gas Station Boner Pills.
Exactly. Anyway, we will see you again next week on another episode of the Gas Station Boner Pills.
We're renaming the show the Gas Station Boner Pills.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. It's time we go. Anyway, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Heavy Metal Hangover. Congratulations for actually making it all the way through this episode of the Heavy Metal Hangover.
With your beer-guzzling, head-banging hosts, Rex and Duff.